This is the thumbnail image used by KHON regarding the plasmosis in Maui that just happened. And there's a major cover-up and a blackout in the media going on right now, so I might be a little bit careful about my language. As you can see in the top right corner, it says courtesy of Leaf Right. So this was a private citizen taking their own video. There is no video on YouTube right now of people from the islands who've posted their own videos. It's all being taken down. There's a major cover-up going on right now. But props to KHON, they used this as their thumbnail, and during their video, they replay this 10-second piece of video 3 or 4 times back to back in multiple different videos that I've watched put out by that news agency.
Managed to get to the Pukalani area where you are now. What are the conditions like now in that area outside?
I mean, if you were here or watching the news or did have social media, you'd have no idea. It's so much devastation on the end. It's just dark and a little breezy.
And when you made your way there yesterday, what was visibility like and the conditions like the whole way over?
So I'm just going to turn the volume down. They replay this loop. You can see the truck pull up here in a minute, and they replay this loop over and over. They did an interview with this guy, Leaf Right. That's him right there. This guy's going to tell you that the video's being taken down off social media for graphic content. And if you look, there's nothing but official news outlets when I do the search for Fire Maui. It's all mainstream news outlets. So there is a blackout. There is a policy in place right now not to allow. This guy right here, he's the only thing close to a private citizen. Everything else is all CNN, MSNBC, mainstream news channels, CBS. There is no private citizens posting on social media on this incident that is allowed right now. And that's what you're going to hear this guy say here in a minute, is that they're taking down video, saying it's too graphic. But if that were, that's not true. There's a policy in place, pure blackout. Otherwise, there would be people's videos that they've uploaded that has no graphic content, like deceased people. They just don't want you seeing. So right now, there is nothing on YouTube from regular people. It's no longer YouTube, it's they-tube, like cable news. Nothing but official news outlets. On YouTube, the channel of the people, no, they're not letting the people talk about this or show anything about it. It's all mainstream news outlets. Nothing but. Keep that in mind as you listen to what this guy says when he says they're taking down video of regular people. It's not just because the cell towers are burned. It's not just because electricity's out or they don't have internet. There is a policy on the social media out, at least this particular social media outlet, not to allow anyone posting private video of the plasmosis in paradise. Oh, there you go. Hawaii real estate. There's the first guy I've come across that isn't a mainstream news outlet, but that says 2022 August update. See what I'm saying? There is nothing here from regular people. For the most part, I'm going to let this one play all the way through. It's 7.5 minutes long. Listen to the things this guy says, including how it burned the boats at the water line. How people don't want to drive through the channel because of all of the bodies, apparently. And as they say that, you can see one of them in the street. He also talks about the social media blackout on this.
More in our breaking news. Hawaii's bushfire emergency has turned deadly this morning, killing at least 6 people as blazes turn out of control.
Residents and tourists have been forced to run for their lives, some jumping into the ocean to escape the flames. The island of Maui is worse affected, with homes and businesses lost.
Notice also the single structures with nothing else burning around them. When this is over, the footage when it does come out is going to be houses burned to the ground with all of the trees and foliage around them untouched. Notice that as they go through this.
Joining us from the island of Maui is Clint Hansen. Good morning to you, Clint. Well, what's the current situation in Maui?
Aloha. It is not a good situation at all. I've been running on about 2.5 hours of sleep and calls, messages from people trying to find out if their home is still there, where their family is at. And I'm just trying to get out in Lahaina. I'm waiting for to take me out there so I can get additional footage and check on people's family and pets. But right now it is a disaster zone. There are vehicles that are able to get out there that are able to deal with the emergency specifically. But right now, people understandably are not allowed to make a bad situation worse. So I am biding my time and being patient to get out there to get more information. It was a terrifying night last night because fires were all over the island, threatening where I live as well. I came from Lahaina. I missed the fire by 30 minutes. And when those embers came up, it just burned everything to the ground. It came through with such ferocity that it burned the boats to the waterline. Nobody expected this. They knew that we were going to see winds. We've seen fire before. We're not strangers to it. But it came so suddenly and our resources were spread so thin, we were just not ready for this. And now, while 6 have been reported dead, I would not be surprised if that number is significantly higher.
Clint, we are just so sorry this has happened to your home and so many people affected. So this tiny little town of Lahaina, just down from the major resorts, which a lot of tourists in Australia would be very familiar with. What time did it start sweeping through? Would tourists have been there enjoying their night out as well as the locals?
A lot of people don't realize the fire actually started the day before. So when it sparked up again, there was minimal resources there because they were dealing with major fires on other parts of the island. It started later in the evening, right around, I believe, 4:30, 5. And when the evening time finally came and sunset was at 7, the smoke was so acrid and dark you couldn't really see the sun set at all in my part of town, which is close to an hour away. So, you know, I haven't been able to check with friends. I've had friends jumping on mopeds to go out there to see their family and rescue their parents, and they have disappeared. They're not getting back in contact. So it's really terrifying, you know, to hear when children are being picked up and separated from their families because, you know, school was due to start tomorrow. So everybody was in a different place than they were ready to be and trying to get back into the swing of the school year. And they don't want to drive through the channel because of the bodies in the water. It's a really bad situation. If anybody can lend a hand, the best.
Right as he says they don't want to drive through the channel because the body's in the water, notice what's on the screen on the right, laying in the middle of the road. I don't want to get this video pulled for graphic content. Just notice.
Drive through the channel because of the bodies in the water. It's a really bad situation. If anybody can lend a hand, the best thing they could do is reach out to Maui United Way.
And it appeared to be a female wearing a skirt. And the clothes were not burned off, so that could not be the possible cause of their demise. And there does not appear to be a large amount of smoke around for smoke inhalation. So what's causing this? Why is there bodies in the water? We're talking about that in a minute. The police told people to jump in the water. You can see head, torso, skirt, and legs, and there does not appear to be burning. They're in the middle of the road. Something else might have happened here simultaneously.
Trying to get back into the swing of the school year, and they don't want to drive through the channel because of the bodies in the water. It's a really bad situation. If anybody can lend a hand, the best thing they could do is reach out to Maui United Way, where they could put donations, or the Maui Food Bank. And my favorite, of course, is Friends of the Children's Justice Center, which helps kids that are here on islands. So please, if there's any help, I know Australia loves Maui because we love them, and we'd love it.
And that's the thing, not that many residents, permanent residents on the island, but so many tourists come each and every year. Just give us an understanding as well about the communications. You mentioned that very hard to get through there. Emergency services has been disrupted, mobile phones, internet is down. We're hearing too the hospitals have been inundated. What's the latest there?
With the power being down, of course, that disrupts communications, and people have difficulty getting to their devices and keeping them charged. But with the town just simply being burnt to the ground, those towers that normally provide a communications for cell phone are just simply not there. So there is no footage coming out right now that is, other than people who are coming in from being rescued or have gone out there to get rescued. The footage that has been shown is really mostly from yesterday. So slowly things are coming in, but it's so dramatic and so terrifying that a lot of the footage is getting taken down for being too vulgar, basically, because of how disastrous it is.
Yeah, and that's why, of course, the mayor has talked about this toll of 6.
Maybe an hour. It seemed forever. We try to get shelter from the wind because it was so hot. It was actually burning our skin, and we had debris just falling on us. And so we were hiding behind this little house right in front of the Papa'aina Pioneer Inn, and we couldn't stay there any longer. It was just too hot. And so I called the police, and they told us to jump in the water. And it was dark. We jumped in. It was a lot. We couldn't stay there any longer. It was just too hot. And so I called the police, and they told us to jump in the water. And it was dark. We jumped in. We couldn't stay there any longer. It was just too hot. And so I called the police, and they told us to jump in the water. And it was dark. We jumped in.
Individuals in the Lahaina area who were concerned for their safety given the smoke and the fire conditions and chose to jump into the shoreline waters of the ocean. The U.S. Coast Guard did come and retrieve them and transported them to safety. We're told that all were accounted for. It was a moment that, that they made a decision on their own that also gives for. It was a moment that, that they made a decision on their own that also gives. I have not. We are aware that there were individuals in the Lahaina area who were concerned for their safety given the smoke and the fire conditions and chose to jump into the shoreline waters of the ocean. The U.S. Coast Guard did come and retrieve them and transported them to safety. We're told that all were accounted for. It was a moment that, that they made a decision on their own that also.
So you can hear her saying that they chose to jump in the water. They made that decision on their own, which contradicts what the two gentlemen just previously said, that they were instructed to do so when they called the cops. So there is some cover your ass going on here. But you know what? Maybe those cops gave them the best advice they knew how, because they know this ain't a regular fire, and your best bet is to jump in that water, and later on we'll deny we ever even told you to avoid lawsuits. But at the time, it is your best bet, because this ain't a normal fire. Notice here's another individual house on fire with no foliage around it on fire. I don't have to convince viewers of this channel of what this is. That tree burning on the inside of the first of the video is all you need to see to know what this is. But this is next level. The other thing is the high winds. There is a Category 4 hurricane that's 500 miles away, and that's what they're blaming the winds on, but these fires are known to happen simultaneously with high wind. From Paradise to Boulder, Colorado, when these fires happen, there's a high wind that kicks up simultaneously. And right now, they're blaming this one on the hurricane that's 500 miles away. I think that might be questionable.
We had debris just falling on us, and so we were hiding behind this this little house right in front of the Papaina Pioneer Inn, and we couldn't stay there any longer. It was just too hot, and so I called the police, and they told us to jump in the water, and it was dark. We jumped in, you know.
So the realtor that they interviewed said the cell towers are just no longer there, which is true according to the person who took this video too. They say the cell tower burned down. How weird is that? Well, it's very common when the fire is electricity based. So is it a media blackout and they just don't want this information getting out, so they've kind of like scrubbed the internet of any private citizens uploading video? Or is it that the cell towers are burned down? Or is it both? Listen to this guy say the cell tower burned down.
That's ugly. All the cell towers have burnt down.
Correction, he didn't say a cell tower burned down. He said all the cell towers are burned down.
Oh. That's ugly. All the cell towers have burnt down. Really? I never.
Notice this tree is burning hot right in the middle. And I've identified this process before where it burns the tree from the center at center mass. And the social media blackout on this subject is understandable. To keep the cattle from stampeding. They don't allow people in general to see the details of what's really happening there until most of the carnage is cleaned up. So this is what you're going to see all over, is structures burned to the ground with the trees between them still standing. But right now, all you're getting is vague images from afar without any focus on any of the detail from the mainstream news outlets. Here you can see there is ground scorch beneath the trees. The trees did not burn. The ground beneath them scorched. And you can see all of the structures burning. House, house, house. One there and one there. Ground scorch all about, but the trees remain standing while the house is burned to the ground. Standard plasma fire, but this is next level. Whatever's going on there, Right now, there's a blackout in the media, and all you're getting is sanitized, watered down coverage, not actual boots on the ground, regular people using their cell phone and uploading it to social media. That is blocked right now. So hopefully this video will make it up. Individual structures on fire. But the tree limbs right here are not on fire.